Today is my 5-year anniversary, which is crazy because I feel like I was just recording my 4-year anniversary like a week ago. The fact that it's been an entire year speaks to, I think, the year that it's been, and also just the fact that time is super weird. So I do a Vanlife Lessons from that year, and I also wanted to do just kind of like a 5-year wrap up, like where I started and now where I am now. Just the things that I've learned over the years from doing this. I'm not going to do a van life tour. I've done a lot. Not much has changed in my van. Kind of like settled in. I think it only took 5 years, but I kind of settled into its final form, the van's final form. There's always things I'm fixing and repairing and improving, but the van is pretty much the same. I wanted to just kind of jump right into the van life lesson. So the last year has been crazy. It was COVID. I moved out of my house and broke up with my boyfriend, and then spent the next 6 months living primarily in my van. The COVID thing made living in a van challenging. I spent a month with my mom, and then that started to feel unsafe because young person, my mom is an older person. I wanted to make sure that she was safe and healthy. It started to become unfeasible for me to live in her driveway. So I left and I went to Wyoming, and I went to Vidavoo actually, which is funny because I'm here now a year later, almost exactly a year later. I had a small group of people that we kind of like quarantined together who were also living in their vehicles and didn't really have a place to go. You know, at the time we'd known that like close contact was what was spreading coronavirus, but that potentially like being out and about outside meant that you were less likely to either contract it or give it to someone. So that was my goal. I was like, okay, well I guess I'm gonna go rock climbing. And on top of it all, you know, a hailstorm put a hole in my roof.
Shit, no, leave it open. The rain broke her fan. Now you're trying to cover.
And my batteries died, and I dislocated my shoulder. So, you know, like everyone, it was a rough, like everyone had the worst year of their lives in 2020. So I can't say that I'm unique, but for me, it was pretty wild. So yeah, that's the recap from my year. Lessons learned from that, you know, I think that the one thing I kept saying to myself that year was like, sometimes there isn't a lesson. Sometimes you're literally just improving your pain tolerance, but you get better about it sometimes. One day it won't suck as much. You know, living out the COVID in the van was hard, but obviously, like, I'm okay, I'm alive. It wasn't as hard for me as it was for some people. I think that I was very fortunate to have my van to move into, actually. When I lost all my money and had to give up my lease in Reno, I moved into the van, which was great because it was a fully functioning home that could go anywhere, and I could get myself away from people. So, you know, that's a positive for sure. I wanted to talk a little bit about the last 5 years and what the main lesson I think I learned from living in a van all this time. And to be totally honest, I think the biggest lesson that I have learned in the last 5 years is resilience. You know, people ask me all the time, oh, your van breaks down all the time. Do you think you should have bought like a different type of vehicle? Or, oh, do you think you should have bought a new vehicle? The thing is that your van is gonna break down. Like, it will break down in spectacular fashion. It's not the way that these vehicles are meant to be used, and they will break down. The most important thing to remember is that it's going to break, and so what are you going to do about it when it breaks? And to me, that's the most important thing that I could teach you after these 5 years, is it's going to fail. What are you going to do about it when it does? And even if you have a brand new Sprinter van, a brand new Transit Connect, whatever it might be, if your transmission explodes, you still have to get it towed to a Mercedes dealer, even if they have full coverage warranty. And I think that those experiences build resilience. I don't know that when I first started living in the van, I had that resilience. And I think that when my van started breaking down a lot over the last couple of years, and when, you know, I got sick, or a client dropped me, or plans changed, I, you know, very much was the kind of person who was like, oh, woe is me, look at how shitty everything is. Fuck. I think that in the last 5 years, I have developed resilience. If you want to do this long term, you have to develop the ability to work with what life throws your way. And I know plenty of people who, when their van broke down a couple times, they were just like, fuck it, I'm selling it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm buying something more reliable. They bought something more reliable, and that also broke down, because cars break down. That's what they do. We're all fighting entropy at a certain point. Resilience. That would be my van life lesson for year 5. More than anything else, if you are interested in living in a van, if you are interested in pursuing van life, or if you're recommending this to someone else, they need to either have the ability to develop resilience, or they need to be a resilient individual and roll with the punches. And a lot of times that comes from being able to rely on community, but a lot of times that also comes from being able to rely on yourself. And I'm not a super wealthy person. I don't have a lot of money. I'm a freelancer. So you can't necessarily afford to finance away your problems. So what are you gonna do if you don't have the money to buy a shower that day? Get creative, you know, baby wipes, hit up a friend. What do you do if you don't have a friend in town? Get a bucket of water. You know, you're gonna have to be okay with that kind of thing. Resilience and creativity, I would say, are the 2 long haul things. And remember why you're doing this too, right? Like if you're only doing van life because you want to get a cool picture, or you want to travel around to all the national parks, or you don't know what else to do, it's maybe not a good idea to, you know, commit to van life. You know, if it's something that you can't not do, you're gonna have to figure out a way to be creative and resilient in order to keep it around.
Tears back in high school, you deserve better than you got. Someone's gotta say it sometime, 'cause it's true. People should have told you that you were awesome, instead of taking advantage of you. I hope you love your life now, like I love mine. I hope the painful memories only flex their power over you a little of the time. We held on to hope of better days coming, and when we did, we were right. The people who did you wrong have trouble sleeping at night. People were mean to you, I always thought you were cool. Looking down the concrete hallways in your spiked heels back in high school.